Welcome back, dear viewers, to the realm of Final Fantasy XIV. Today we're going to be tackling the second of two newly added dungeons in the latest patch. Forget where they are. A Xelphatol. Last time we did the Great Gubal Library hard mode. Xelphatol is the story mode dungeon, so you go here in the main scenario. Hey! Starting to wonder if people wanted to do that one. This is release week. So the rewards for doing Xelphatol are the same that were for the Great Gubal Library. The tomestones of scripture and lore. I think it was lore. And those are going to be your chief... The scripture tomestones specifically are going to be your chief way of getting the new tomestone gear. Which, for those of us not intending to go into Alexander Savage, is going to be the best gear that we can get before the next major patch. So we start off with some terrifying rocks that come down and scare us into thinking they're going to hurt us. They don't, but they are still in our way. You can run forward a little bit and grab a couple mobs for some AoE pulls. The Harpia here is something to... I at least remember back when we were doing the Hullbreaker Island, the Harpies hit very hard. And they had the circular AoE that they plopped down as well. I don't know if they continue to hit quite as hard as they did before, but I don't need to be AoEing because there's only two guys. But between the Harpy and the Hakulak here, those are the two guys that I would worry about doing the most. They're the ones going to be doing various AoEs. But still, it's just AoEs, you've seen them before. Oh, and rocks are falling! Don't stand in AoEs. I don't know how long the rocks keep going, presumably for at least a little while now. Potentially until the first boss, but I don't know if they can move on for that long. Another small pull. Could potentially have grabbed that last pull and these guys all at once. I didn't see if there was a barrier preventing that. There is a very clear barrier ahead of us right now, where we do have to kill these guys before we can move on. But as usual, they're not doing too much of note. Some AoEs and the like that you want to get out of the way of, while we continue to be pelted from rocks from above. Take that, gate. Now the next pull being a large toad and some small slugs, and we're going to go ahead and grab a harpy as well. The toad is one you want to keep an eye on, because he will have that very large AoE around himself. And that's something you can stun, and that's just something that toads generally do. So if you see his toad type, be aware of that. I've just used both of my stuns, so at this point I'm going to have to actually run, because I don't know if anybody else is stunning. I'm not sure if the tank stunned that, or if he just decided that, well, somebody else has been stunning it all this time, so I'm just going to stand here and actually eat it for once. The Harpy, it only occurred to me much later, is technically a gargoyle-type enemy with the AoE they can just place down like that. Now, I don't see, at this point, the AoEs from the rocks falling anymore, so we're potentially past that point as we make our way up to the first boss. Oh, never mind, we've got a couple more dudes along the way. Treasure coffer off to the side. Looks like the rocks are falling once again. That rope's just laying there. Probably some rope broke. You can see the barrier up ahead, which means as soon as we kill off these guys, we can go fight the actual first boss. Path is open, and we can see Nuzul Hualak, an Ixali, or an Ixal, riding below a balloon. So as usual, you have a brief amount of time at the start of the fight before the arena closes off to just wail on him. Large directional AoE you don't want to stand in the way of. And lift. You can see the small bit of wind below him. That will continue moving around, it won't just stay stationary. At least I could have sworn it moved around some. But your goal here is to kill all the ads and then to get into that wind that he's left. Nope, there we go, it's moving. Want to kill the various Ixali first and then end with the floating turret. This is kind of a small DPS check. You cannot actually kill the floating turret. Bring it down to empty HP and then stay in the AoE. The wind marker. It'll blow you up in the air so you don't get hit by that. To air stones spawn, you have to kill them before you continue beating on the boss, but nothing terribly spectacular otherwise. A long burst on me was just a small amount of damage. Long burst again. Probably going to be getting to the point soon where he starts repeating mechanics again. Which means next up he'll probably be using lift. Yes, there we are. So we keep our eyes open for the ads. Have to kill the air stones before you can break the floating turret in the middle of the arena. Slightly different ad set than we saw the previous time, as there are no Ixali this time, only the air stones. A short burst is just a little bit of wind, so that's nothing terribly to concern yourself about. That's it, dead. Hot Blast is the one that you want to make sure you actually get up for, as that's the floating turret doing Hot Blast. It looked like... I'm sure it does something over a time if you don't kill it fast enough, but it may also do it as soon as it's actually brought down to effectively 0 HP. And that brings the first boss to a close. Same kind of gear that you get out of the previous dungeon, 225. And now that we've made our way in from the outside, that was a lag spike. Now that we've made our way in from the outside, we're actually confronting the Ixali personally. Now he went ahead and pulled the couple Ixali here into this first tiny arena. As soon as you pull hate on the goober in the first arena, you'll notice the wood along the outside drops down, revealing spikes. And the goober himself does have a knockback that can then push you into the spikes. So that's something to be aware of. Stay out of AoEs, though, and kill probably the goober first, and then worry about the regular Ixali second, and everything should go pretty alright. As usual, don't stand in AoEs. And with the final done, the platform lowers and we can move on. Those guys can see you from surprisingly far away. You see a small device over there that one of the Ixali actually came from. Here, that's not really something we have to worry too much about, but that's something to keep in mind for later. In the meantime, it's just a couple of random Ixali, nothing terribly to concern yourself about. Don't stand and stuff, AoE him down if you feel like it, otherwise single target one by one. Moving up on just a few more, you can see a treasure coffer over there. But it's still just a couple more Ixali otherwise. The final one drops a bone key, which will make the imposing gate over there slightly less imposing. So a treasure coffer. No armor or anything in that one. Once everybody's in, hit the lift lever and you'll move on up. Trading places with another lift that's going back down. We're still moving up. This is a heck of a place, though. Still moving up, and we're going to find another small arena with another goober in it. 2, in fact. But this works the same as before, where you can see the outer ring around the edge that will drop down, revealing spikes once you engage them. Or maybe the spikes come up. I think the spikes came up. But don't stand in the Goober's Sneeze AoE, which you saw there. You won't get knocked into the spikes. Otherwise, they do what Goobers do. Beat them down, AoE them if you need. Again, the drawbridge comes down, letting us move on, and we should be nearing the second boss. Now, the important thing about this fight to keep in mind is where these little things are off to the side. Because you see spikes coming up along the outside edge. Now, 2 common moves you'll be seeing are on low and on high. You just saw on low, which is a conal AoE pointed at the tank. The tank should be able to move out of the way of that. And then on high, where you want to line yourself up with him and one of those. He'll always go to the center of the arena for it, so you don't have to worry about any really weird trajectories for that one. And the wooden planks on the floor are actually a good way of lining yourself up, as all you have to do is be within this one particular triangular area, and you should be fine to not get knocked into the spikes. If you do get knocked into the spikes, it's honestly not that big a deal. It does a minor amount of damage, and I think it puts a bleed effect on you for a little bit. Now, a red arrow! I forget what this does. I'm just going to get hit by it. Oh, on high, on high, on high, on high. Well, there goes me. Okay, so I was correct with the arrows in that they do place... It's just something you don't want to be standing near everybody else with. The overarching reason I got killed there is because I wasn't in a position to get into a position to deal with on high. Okay, now they're on low. That one came out pretty quickly, though. If they're coming out that quick, I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't say the tank could easily dodge that. There's on high again. These tornadoes do make it a little bit hard to see what's going on. They do go away over time, though, as you saw that one went away. So I'm going to place this one down here. Which, if he uses on high again, should still give us... Swift Feather is nothing to worry about. He just puts a haste effect on himself. And we should be in a good position should he do on high again. But it looks like we'll just bring the fight to a close first. Another 225 piece of equipment. As usual, you'll get the major pieces of equipment for beating the bosses. You'll find some accessories littered about in various chests here and there, as well as sellable and crafting items. Now here, you see this balloon coming in. Are you our tank? No, you're not. Now this is where you want to get to this war balloon as fast as possible. And ignore the ads, this war balloon is your first priority. If you destroy that war balloon first, and you have very little time to do it. If you destroy that war balloon first, I'm not sure why he decided to pull everybody over here. Or I should say, if you don't destroy it fast enough, it will fly off to a different platform, where some more Ixali will get in it. It will then fly back, and then you have another squad of them to deal with before actually clearing out the area. I think the tank just said he got ahead of himself. Which is understandable, because the next area does more what you would actually be expecting it to do. The final enemy drops an air stone, which lets you activate the Tailwind relic over here. Treasure coffer as well. Which is standing in it. Lets you right across. Isn't this pretty? Now this one is a little more troublesome, because we're going to be dealing with two of these. So get over to it as fast as possible. There is also another one on the other side of the arena. I'm just going to eat that. And there's no way you can kill both of these in time. At least not right now, I don't imagine. Well, maybe you could. But it'd be rough. And we did it! Go us. So they can both be killed, it's just really difficult to. But then you don't have to deal with additional phases, and you've just got an army of guys here to take care of, which, for the most part, are still just random Ixali doing random things. They've got your various AoEs you want to not stand in, but nothing much else to worry about. Incoming Storm, which the one I'm targeting used just a moment ago, is just a self-buff. And I'm pretty sure that Hornbill is the one that's putting down the AoEs. Drops another Airstone, which lets you, as you may have guessed, activate the Tailwind relic over here. Which takes us nearing the final boss of the dungeon. There's one minor pull along the way, and that is the Sky Caller here, and his good friend Bird. This is again sort of a small mini-boss, which again I like. Got a lot of HP, so you can really lay into him. Okay, I guess we're killing the bird first. But otherwise, there's not a lot of too much complex going on. You did just see a raid-wide damage go down there. In the form of Tornado, which he's using again. Nope, never mind. That was not what I thought it was. And that actually opens the path to the proper final boss of the dungeon. As usual, you've got just a little bit of time at the start of the fight to wail on him before the arena closes off. And you see him cast things like Ixali Arrow and Ixali Arrow 3. Ixali Arrow is single target, it'll likely hit the tank. Ixali Arrow 3 is raid-wide damage, so there's not much you can do about it. And you see Hawk here, the small AoEs surrounding each person. One of the various birds flying around the arena is going to dive bomb you specifically. You just don't want those markers to overlap each other, so each one of you only gets hit by one. Directional AoE you don't want to stand in the way of. Now, Hawk here, where you want everybody to gather together, because all the birds are going to attack that one person, and if everybody's not in there, you'll get wrecked. And then the fancy part of the fight, where he casts Summon Garuda. And as you may have guessed, Garuda comes back. I am so happy that they're doing something, even like this, with some of the older Primals. Now, this wasn't a full proper summon, so Garuda can't stick around. She merely comes in, does a single attack, and then buggers off. And of course you saw Hawk along the way, which means everybody needed to spread out some so they didn't overlap. And another Hawk here. So everybody's stacked for that one. Followed by Ixali Arrow 3. Honestly, at this point, you've seen most of the mechanics of the fight. It should repeat at this point. It's going to summon Garuda again. I don't believe Garuda will do anything too different than she did the last time she was summoned. A Hawk coming in again. A little different. You just have a slightly smaller position to stand. Followed, of course, by her large Tempest, which is just going to be some AoE damage. A lot of AoE damage going on here. The healers, I imagine, would have a slightly rougher time with this. Limit break gauge is nearly full, though. No reason to put it off. Probably just because our gear is weaker compared to the bosses now, but I'm noticing the limit breaks aren't doing nearly as much damage as they used to. It used to be a good 18% that it would take off of the boss. And now you're lucky to get 10%. I'm sure that's just due to our gear, though. I remember reading somewhere that the gear, or that the damage that the limit break does, is determined by the average gear, average item level of all members of the party. And there we go. That is, what was it, Xelphatol? I don't know if I can pronounce that or remember how it's spelled. Another piece of gear as prize. And that brings the second of the 2 new dungeons added to a close. Until next time, everyone, there's still plenty more for us to explore.